What's up, everyone? Welcome to Money Market Truth. My name is Mark. I am with Uncultured Currency, also with Half-Breed Observer, which is my brand new YouTube channel focused on politics. You're more than welcome to go over there and subscribe if you want to. Shameless plug. And to my right is my co-host.
Hey guys, I'm Mo from OTB Clubhouse.
Yes, thank you guys so much for stopping by today. We do not have a guest. Our guest, unfortunately, didn't get back to me. I don't know how else to say it. I'm not going to sit there come with some BS excuse and be like, oh, what happened? Reschedule. No, it just didn't get back to me. So it is what it is. So we're going to wing it today. But Mo and I, we were having a pretty good conversation prior to us going live. And we realized that sometimes our conversations, I feel like, are pretty valuable to the audience and maybe relatable to a lot of people. And sometimes we just don't discuss it on this channel because we feel like it doesn't really evolve around specifically the stock market. But our channel is called Money Market Truth. So as long as we can attach it to money somehow, I think would be a pretty good conversation to have as well. What do you think, Mo?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you.
Yeah, and him and I were talking about just fatherhood. So for everyone who is a father or a parent, throw one in the chat. That way everyone knows that you also have a kid. And there's one thing I wish people would have told me before having kids. And I'm sure that you probably wish the same thing. Because everyone always makes it seem like it's a lovely experience, and it is a lovely experience, right? We do enjoy our kids. It's a love that is so unconditional. Like it's just the minute the baby comes out of the woman's, woo-ha, whatever you want to call it. I don't want to get demonetized, but it's just changed. Like your entire life just changes. Because I remember the birth of my first son. The minute I held him in my hand, my entire life changed. It was no longer about me. It was about him and what can I do to provide for him the best life that he can have and be the best parent that I can be. But there's a lot of stuff that people just don't tell you. For one, parenting, not always fun. In fact, it seems like 80% of the time is not fun. Do you agree with me, Mo?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. People just don't tell you that. They don't tell you that, listen, it's not fun. It's draining. It's exhausting. You're going to age quickly. I already have gray hairs in my beard. I already lost my hair. And what they definitely don't tell you is how expensive it is to actually have a child, one child. And most people typically have 2 or more children. The stats are showing a little bit differently, but I'm off on this, Mo. I feel like you're sitting there quietly and I'm digging myself a hole here. What's your thoughts?
No, I think my conversation has always been that we can't really relate to how our parents brought us up because we're in a different world now. I talk to a lot of people that are parents and it's very, very different now. Like we have technology, social media has made things a lot different. And with this AI technology, and I know I'm thinking far ahead, but I read an article today that said that people are actually promoting AI girlfriends now, and you can pay $1 a day. And now, how does that relate to our conversation? It's just how many of us have given our kids cell phones or iPads, right? As long as you have internet connection, they have access to everything. Now, I don't know how many parents actually monitor like to the full extent what their kids are watching, because there's a lot of stuff that is on YouTube that is age appropriate by law for these kids, but they should not be watching it.
Correct.
And me and my wife have caught our kids watching stuff. When I don't want to say the word caught because they didn't even know what they were watching. We were just sitting in the living room and just heard the conversation happening, and the kids were watching stuff that we've allowed in terms of age restriction for them to watch. But that's the stuff you have to keep an eye on. Like another thing with YouTube now is, I don't know if you noticed it, they have the TikTok kind of set up now. So they have very short clips now that you can click on, the YouTube shorts. I think that's what they're called. And if you heard the TikTok CEO speaking, he said he doesn't let his kids use TikTok because it's not made for kids. But then YouTube's kind of doing the same thing and kids can do that. And how that impacts them is, I've noticed my son, when he was watching that stuff, his attention span went down, and anything that felt like taking too long, he'd just zone out. And so we had to kind of shut that down and be more specific on what he could watch. And this isn't stuff that our parents had to worry about. They weren't worried about what we're going to watch on TikTok or YouTube, or if we kind of like go in and get an AI girlfriend, right? They weren't worried
Yeah,
about that
it's
kind of
weird.
stuff.
I mean, even talking about like the AI girlfriend that you were talking about right here, right? Think about it. You and I, we've been married for over 10 years, right? I think you've been married over 10 years too, right? Or no?
I've been married over 6 years. Yes.
Over 6 years. Okay. Now, I don't know how you met your wife. I believe you told me you guys met at working at a store together, right?
Yes.
So you met her in person. I met my
Yeah.
wife at a house party. So looking now how like people are dating and how they're meeting each other, it's all off of like an app. It
Yeah.
doesn't seem like people really know how to approach women or men these days in a public forum without having to get their numbers or text. Like I remember seeing like one of my single friends meeting a girl, instead of getting her number, he asked, "What's your Instagram?" And they would just exchange Instagram, which is just strange to me. Why not ask for the number? Give the person a call. I mean, half the time people don't even talk on the phone anymore. It's very rare that I talk to people on the phone. I talk to you on the phone. I talk to Mark on the phone. I talk to Q on the phone. And then maybe like three more friends or something like that. But everyone else is pretty much texting. So technology has definitely changed the landscape of how you raise your children and how people just interact with each other throughout the world. And you brought up a good point where you said the CEO said that his own child does not use TikTok, right?
Yeah,
Um,
'cause it's not age appropriate.
that yeah, that seems to be the trend across the board with a lot of these tech CEOs. They don't allow their children to be on technology. So you have two different parties here. You have one folks who are like really they promote technology. I know Mark's huge in technology. He gives me tips all the time, like how to use tech to try to help raise my kid. But then there's the other side to it where it's like, yo, keep all that technology away from them. And I would say that I lean more towards trying to keep tech away from my kids than put it in their hands. But I'm very guilty of it, that from the young age, the minute my kid was a certain age, I give him a tablet so he can watch stuff on the tablet, right? And like you said, YouTube, you brought up a good point. On YouTube alone, it says YouTube Kids, but there's a lot of inappropriate stuff on YouTube Kids.
Yeah.
My kids at this point are not allowed to even watch YouTube anymore. It's too dangerous. Because I tell a funny story. I got my son a phone when he was 8, right? A cell phone. My wife was adamantly against it. But you know what? I'm the man of this house, so I make the decisions. That's how I roll in my household, okay? Bam. That's not true, but but you get my point. We were having a discussion, and you know, I was like, I think he's old enough. I think he's mature enough. We can get him a phone. Well, he got the phone. We bought him. I think it was an Android phone at that time. I think it was an Android. I believe it was. It's like a Samsung, and I didn't put any other parental controls on it. So one day, his older brother caught him watching porn at 8 years old. So you can imagine like how we were freaking out. We were like, what? Oh my God. So, you know, we had to talk to him, and he apologized. He's like, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just, you know, I was going on his rabbit hole. So when he went to bed, he wasn't in trouble, but we talked to him like, hey, you can't do this. This is inappropriate. You should be watching this stuff at this age. And then I went through his history, and it all started with him trying to Google something called Noob. And Noob is something with Roblox, I think, or Fortnite, something like that. But he spelled noob wrong. I think he put Noovie. And then Google's like, did you mean nude? And then he's like, sure. He clicked on nude, and then it just led this rabbit hole into like porn. And he's just like watching things after things. And I'm like, and I'm freaking out because I'm like, oh my God, at that age, he shouldn't have been exposed to that stuff. And that's my fault as a parent, right? I should have had parental controls in there. But at the same time, this is something that I didn't have to worry about growing up, right? I think the worst that I ever dealt with, I think it's what, 6th, 7th grade. Me and my friends, we went to his dad's house. He had dirty magazines, and we would just like look at the magazines. They're like Playboy magazine, topless women. That was it. You know, it was like, ooh, very controversial. Now that's nothing. I mean, you Google Kim Kardashian, and that's all you see is just her nude half the time. So technology has definitely changed the landscape of things, and it's made life easier for parents, but it's also, I think, damaging child's attention span, like you talked about. I think it damages what type of information these kids are absorbing and what they're being exposed to on an everyday basis, right? And it's becoming more and more difficult, I think, in this society, in this world that we live in, to really try to parent better. And I do feel as a parent that I'm a failure all the time. And I wish someone had told me that, you know, it's a great experience having children, but you're going to feel like a failure majority of the time. And even when you do things right, it may backfire. And then you're like, man, I did this wrong. And then when you look at your pockets, you're like, I made so much good money. Like I made good money, but like, where's it going? And you look, they say right now, the average cost to have a child in America alone for their lifespan, from the time they're born until they're 17, on average is $310,000. That's just to take care of them. That's not
It's
including
probably
school.
basic
Basic.
stuff.
Yeah, this is just the basics. That's not including school. They're talking about if you want to put school in there, like higher education, that's an additional $80 to $100,000. So that's $310,000, just average, just the baseline, bare minimum to basically raise your kid from point A to point B until they get out the house. Now imagine a lot of people have 2, 3, 4, 5 kids, right? I know the population is going down right now. They said by birth by country right now, it has been decreasing, especially like in Europe and stuff. But if you look at like Africa, they're still popping out babies like crazy. They're still like this. I have a list right here. It says top 10 countries with the highest birth rate. Um, Nigeria is on top. And then yeah, there are all these African countries basically. Top 10 countries with the lowest birth rate is like South Korea, Japan, Taiwan, Greece, Puerto Rico, Portugal, Spain, Bulgaria. So a lot of westernized countries that are, I guess, in a better financial situation than like Africa is, but yet Africa is popping out babies left and right. So it's showing you that this generation, they're even slowing down on wanting to have kids in this type of society. But it's going to be very difficult, I think, to raise children moving forward, regardless of what type of tech that we have here. And what's your thoughts on that? I feel like I've talked a lot here.
Well, I agree with you, and like I want to quickly talk about like there's a reason why I'm talking about it, Mark. I haven't even told you. We were at me and my wife were at a charity organization gala, and they were talking about mental health and removing kids from toxic situations, more so gang and drug abuse.
Mhm.
And we had a father come in and speak, and he had a kid who was excelling in school. He was a ice hockey champion, and he actually got sponsorship, moved to States to study and play ice hockey. And last year, he got a phone call from his hotel saying that their kid died from cocaine overdose. Right now, he was a kid that basically passed all the check marks. Like, you don't have to worry about that stuff. And what the father was saying had a lot of impact on me. What he was saying was that with everything happening in the world, make sure you're spending time with your kid. I know job's important. I know doing a lot of important shit like this hustle culture that we see. He was talking about like spending time with your kids, right? Hustle culture, like everyone's busy with making money, or like we're just competing for a list of desires that we all have. And he said, and that was the key part that moved me. He said, if I had spent more time at dinners with my kids, he's like, I couldn't because I worked. And so we had to skip dinners. If I had time to spend at dinners with him, this wouldn't have happened. And so there's two parts to it. There's part where, parenting is hard. We're not talking just fatherhood. We're talking about parents. As if you are a parent, it's hard, but you have to also understand about the other part, the kids. They're going through so much shit that we didn't go through, right? So parents are going through tough times and the kids are going through tough times. Like I think, and this is my thought process, back when I was a kid, almost everyone went through bullying, and we kind of fought through it in our own way. And like personally, like just my cousins and my family, it wasn't something that we brought up to our parents because I don't think they understood what was happening. Now people are a lot more aware, but I think this generation, not everyone, but majority is a lot more softer. And so we need to put more time and attention on kind of working on their mental health. If I say that they're softer, it's absolutely our fault. It's not theirs. It's nothing to do with them. And it's a lot to do with the amount of hours we work, the amount of pressure we have. Like the interest rate is that much, and people have to buy a house. How much work do they need to do to put a roof on their kid's head or rent? This is the stuff that I think our parents didn't have to worry about. Like,
Mhm.
so there's all links. So I'm not really blaming anyone. I don't want people getting offended and saying, oh, no, my generation isn't softer. Not, it's just the way society has been now. Like, there's a lot of entitlement, there's a lot of opinion, and even the laws that are coming by the government, which I'm completely against, about just letting kids make their own choice at a very young age. And if the parent are not okay with it, just take the kid. And I will get into the rabbit hole, but that's something that we need to worry about. So there's two issues: mental health for kids and parenting for us parents. It's harder for both of us. So That mix with trading or whatever profession you're doing, it's going to be tough. And the part that you mentioned that you feel like a failure sometimes, I don't think anyone except Instagram and social media, you see perfect parenthood. I don't know any parent that I've spoken to feels like their kids are in the right amount of activities outside. They're scoring the perfect grades. They have the perfect behavior. Dude, we go to a restaurant, and we're guilty of us too. Parents are so exhausted. Every kid is just on an iPad, right? Because the parents want to just be able to eat peacefully.
Yeah.
So
Like, just shut up, take this tablet, and just, eat
when
your-
you're not a parent, you look at that, you're like, yo, what's wrong with these parents?
Yeah.
But when you become a parent, you see why it's happening. So I wanted to bring it up. Mark wanted to bring it up, and we wanted to see like how everyone feels. And I think we have a responsibility to bring this kind of stuff up because a lot of people as parents, especially single parents, are suffering. And a lot of times they feel like they're the shittiest parent ever when they're not, and they're doing their best, and their circumstances have led to things that they had no control of. You could be the best parent possible. Your kid could have one wrong friend, or I'd say one wrong teacher these days that led them into a wrong path, and you couldn't see it coming, and you blame yourself for everything because you're just an accountable person. So
Mhm. I like what you said here that it's really our, you said like it's really not our fault, but it is, it's 100% our fault. It's our generation that's creating these soft ass kids. It is because I don't know if what happened if maybe when we grew up, we felt that our parents were too hard or we didn't get enough love. So then we strive to accomplish X, Y, and Z, and then we just overdo it with our children, and we over corrected the stuff that was missing in our childhood potentially. Like my kid has almost every single game system here, yet at the same time I'm constantly taking away from him because I'm like, you're not paying attention in school, you're not doing this right, you're not doing your chores, but yet at the same time I'm constantly trying to put them on a tablet or on a phone and stuff to try to pacify them. And it's unfortunate because the story you just told about the dad, I'm guilty of that. I don't always sit down and eat with my kids because I'm like, I got to edit this YouTube video, or I got to do this podcast, or I got to come up with some other ideas, or try to come up with a story, or be on Instagram, respond to people. There's a time and place, I think, for all of that. And I think the average parent, especially like you said, single household parents, they have to kind of step back and realize that what's the most important thing in your life? It is your children, regardless how much of a pain in the ass they are. They're they're your children, and you want them to succeed in life, and you don't want them to be a failure. But we are coddling our children way too much, and we're being way too soft. And it goes all the way back to the first time I noticed it was participation trophies. Like, I don't think you should get a trophy for being 26th place at a race. You sucked. You didn't work hard enough. Work harder next time and try to get at least third place, and I could be proud of you. Like, I don't understand it. And it seems like it's so incorrect and so wrong for you to say that. Like, oh my God, I can't believe you spank your children. Oh my God, I can't believe you don't allow your kids to watch television. Oh my God, I can't believe you told your kid that he didn't perform well at this soccer game. But these are all the things I think builds resilience for them to get older and have tougher skin. Kids don't have tough skin these days, and which we can even lead into the drama that I dealt with today. You want to get into that?
sure.
The drama? Yeah. So because you talked about like bullying. See, when we grew up, if we got bullied in school, it ended at school. We went
Yeah.
home, and that was it, right? No one, like, we don't have to listen to anybody. No one's gonna call me, harass me. And nowadays, kids get bullied 24/7. You get bullied at school. Then when you go home, you go on your social media platforms, whether it's Facebook, well, probably not Facebook because that's just us boomers now at this point. But like we go on TikTok or Instagram or something, and people make fun of each other, and they make fun. They have secret groups where they make fun of different children, and these kids don't have tough skin, so it does affect their mental health. And little do you know, it's probably like a series of events that could potentially be grooming a mass shooter, right? Because we're seeing more and more of them these days. And when you always look at their backgrounds, it was always some weird stuff that was going on, either being bullied or they were confused by their sexuality or their parents didn't show enough love. It's always something weird. But like today, for example, so you guys know, most of you who know who I am, I have a YouTube channel, and part of my YouTube channel, like 10% of it, it's not even like 100%, 10% of my YouTube channel, I will call out grifters, people in the finance space the stock market space, the trading space, who I clearly have identified are, I wouldn't call them scammers, I call them grifters, because typically, even if you offer some sort of service and 1% out of that audience makes some money, but the reality is that you really don't know what your wealth is really made off of, like signal groups and stuff. Anyways, I had done a video a month ago, maybe like 4 months ago or so. And in that I had made a video on a specific individual. And then today I was checking my Instagram to try to respond to messages and stuff. And I got a specific message. And it states like this. All right. It says, it shows me this gains, which was like 98% gain on his account. This person has like $250,000 in account. And he's like, eat these gains, P. He's like, you are a failure at life. Do the world a favor and commit suicide. LOL. You'll never reach any level in life. Bet your dumbass tried to do 20 years because you're incompetent. Literal idiot. Can't invest. Content is trash. And you just overall suck at life. Literally a nobody. Pathetic ass catalog. Guarantee you
Mark,
commit
I
suicide.
just added it on. So
Oh, okay. You got it up there. Okay, perfect. So, and I posted it. And I specifically said, even if you read the comment, and I did a reel on it, or a story. I did a story and I posted it on my Instagram to show, because I get these every once in a while, right? All the time, like, oh, you're a hater. You're just trying to bring another black brother down. You're just mad because you're not successful. All this other stuff. Most people don't even know my true background story or even my real name. So I get those every once in a while, but this is like the first one I got. It did tickle me. I laughed. Literally, when I saw it, I was like, Jesus, man, this is extreme. Like, you literally wish death upon me. So, and I tagged all the individuals that the real group belongs to. So that's not the real group. And I said that, mentioned it as well. I said, this is most likely not the actual admins of the group or the individual that I have called out in the past. It's probably just a goon or one of their supporters or someone who got their feelings hurt, because we talked about this before. And then I know JT the Pocket Watcher even came on the Come Up series, and I'm cool with him. He's one of my homies, and he gets those all the time, and he just like laughs it off. But it's always funny because when you try to be honest and transparent and help people out, some people see it as, oh, you're just trying to tear another person down and you're trying to mess with their business and all this other stuff. But see, that to me, I mean, I laughed. I posted it because I want to show people, look how extreme this stuff can get sometimes. Like, this is not that serious. I mean, come on, like, why are we going to the point where you wish that I commit suicide? It's ridiculous, and it just made me laugh. So I posted it just to show people that this is sometimes what happens when you're in this space and you want to be honest, you want to be transparent, and you want to call a spade a spade. But imagine if a kid got this. Imagine a kid who hasn't dealt with or didn't grow up in my life, who hasn't seen the horrors of life, who doesn't have tough skin, and they see that stuff. What can that do to their mental health? That person, a different person, may actually see this and be like, oh my God, this is how they really feel about me, and then slit their wrists or something. Now, clearly, I mean, like I said, I looked into it. I was like, it's clearly not the real group. And shout out to the actual group that I've called out in the past. You have it up there anyways. They did respond on there. They said, hey, man, I apologize. This is not us. We're not the ones who posted this. And I'm sorry that if that affected you in any way. And I said, oh, yo, I appreciate it. I've been very critical about you guys, but I knew it wasn't you. I just thought maybe it was like a goon or one of your fans or something, because you have a lot of people that do this stuff all the time. You have people from other groups that will come into the Come Up series or other groups or your group, and they try to like infiltrate and get information. It's like, it's all like stupid childish stuff like that. But the average person, this could potentially actually affect a person who is not mentally stable, who was soft, who doesn't have thick skin and doesn't know what to do with this. And that's the reason why I ended up posting it. I thought it was hilarious, and I just want to kind of point out the space that we're in general. But yeah, anything on that, Mo?
Well, I was talking to a friend of mine, and she is in the finance space, and she owns a fund, and she was talking about a couple of names about Discords, because before COVID, right? If you wanted to invest, you'd go to a financial advisor, a wealth specialist, or if you have a lot of money, you'd go to a fund, right?
Mhm.
Now there's so many of these Discords. I have one too, full transparency, but there's so many of them, and they're posting outrageous returns, right? Crazy, right? Just last week, I found about 2 groups, and one of the group owner, I'm not going to say names. It's all over Twitter. He's a teacher, and he just got charged for sending some inappropriate messages to underage girls.
Mm.
And there's not so far 2 people have come across just stating that this has happened, but there's more people. And basically people are just now going after that person, like on Twitter, just going crazy. But the fact is, you don't know who's behind a logo, right? You don't know their name, you don't know what they do. And if they go and post they made 1,000%, if they're lying, they literally have nothing to lose because there's nothing you can do. Then there's another one, and you're not going to believe this. There's a kid who's 15 years old. And people know that he doesn't hide. His face is there. Everything's like, there's nothing hidden. And he trades from a custodian account and he charges $350 for a Discord, right? And someone exposed saying that he's actually not trading. It's his father who trades on his behalf. And when he posts his screenshots, they're actually like, if you zoom in, it's not an account with any money. So he's not really trading. The reason why he got a lot of engagement was because people were like, oh, that's a 15-year-old kid doing so well. And so
Yeah.
everyone's like cheering up for the guy, right? They're like, yo, like when I was 15, I didn't know any of this. So my point being is like leading to your conversation. We don't know who's hiding behind these names, even pictures. You don't even know if there's real pictures. Like now AI can make you a picture, take 4 people's faces, mix it up, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just like imagine that, but it's not happening to you. It's happening to your kids now. They're selling them some sort of service. Like I know a lot of adults get scammed. Think about kids. And this is why we wanted to talk about parenting, because it's not to scare people, but it's to educate people that these are the roadblocks that we as parents will face. And we're aware of them and we're with you because we face it with you too, regardless of how much money anyone makes. The problems are there. Most of the time, when the money gets higher and the kids start going to different sorts of school, like private schools, there's a level of entitlement that comes to. I know that because I went to a private school for 10 years. So there's a level of entitlement that you get where you think you're better or you know more. That being said, it's tough. It's important to talk about this because this impacts your daily life, impacts your money, impacts everything you do.
Yeah. I think this was a good conversation to have personally. I know we always talk about stocks, we always talk about the market, but I think every once in a while we should have these type of conversations as well. And hopefully people can relate.
Yeah.
Because it's an all around process. In general, how much do you think, even though the average is $310,000 to have a kid, how much do you think is realistically per kid?
I think I've already spent $300K, man. My kid's 5, but I live in Vancouver. We have a different scale. Like it's crazy here. But it depends, to be honest. Like a lot of people have a personality where they feel guilty if they don't do certain things for their kids, even though they don't have to. And kids are very good at making you feel guilty. They know exactly what to say. So
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Listen, my son got in trouble. He's been grounded for like 2 weeks now so far. And on Sunday, me and my wife actually slept in for first time in a long time. He comes in and he makes us breakfast. First time ever makes us breakfast. I'm like, man, what a good kid, man. I love him. And we let him watch a movie and then he just went right back to his bad behavior. The following day, we were like, damn it, man. He got us. Kids can manipulate you, man. They can make you feel bad for certain things for sure. But yeah, let's talk about the stock market stuff real quick. We're almost running out of time here. So we do have some stock market related content as well. But we would love to know, like, definitely comment in the comments below and let us know if you enjoy these type of like realistic conversations, just everyday life conversations about life, relationship, being a parent, jobs, 9 to 5, whatever. I think me and Mo, we really have a lot of experience in life and we would love to share that with y'all as well because it's interesting and a lot of people probably feel alone. So what you got, Mo?
All right. I wouldn't talk about it if it wasn't very important. So I think I should cover everything that's happening in the market in the next 5 minutes. So first news is Elon Musk says he'll step down as a Twitter CEO. I believe he said in the next 2 weeks. There is a female CEO that will be taking over his position and he'll be solely focusing on both Tesla and Twitter, mostly Tesla now because there's a new CEO for Twitter. So we want to watch the stock on that news. Tesla did run. So this is where you see the green candle here blew up from 169 straight to 173. People that understand supply and demand. We have a sell zone right here all the way till 173. If this breaks out, we have one more resistance right at 174, 175 level. If that breaks tomorrow, we can see 180. So I believe we could potentially see 180 for the last, I'd say 8 months. Fridays have been the days where you do not want to short the market. And there's a reason for that. And that's what I want to educate people. It's something to do with gamma, Wena, and charm. We've been put heavy for the last couple of months. So a lot of people have been buying puts, and these puts are usually bought weekly and OPEX week. So weekly is Friday, OPEX is May 19th, right? A lot of these puts come off because they're expiring, and that's what causes a bigger rally. So keep an eye out. Tomorrow should be big for Tesla. The second news we have here is China. This came by Bloomberg. So if someone, any of your friend has a Bloomberg terminal, or you follow someone on Twitter, sometimes people will post, but Bloomberg released this chart yesterday. And the moment I saw this, I went very heavy in BABA and JD. Now, let me go over what this says. It basically says that the estimates for earnings for the Chinese index is at record low. That right away was a big alarm for me to start buying Chinese stocks. So I bought BABA shares, I bought BABA options, I bought JD options. This morning, BABA did about, if you didn't buy it this morning, it would have made you about 250%. But if you bought it last night, it would have made you 500%. Chinese stock tend to run a lot. If you go look at what Apple, Amazon, Google have done after their earnings, so this could go potentially for a long time. So let me show you something. So JD had earnings today, right? So they gapped up from 34 all the way to 37, and it's consolidating here. The key area here to watch is this dip here got bought, which tells you that there's strength in the market. So JD's done earnings. What we need to watch out for now is BABA. I'm into BABA calls. I'll probably add more BABA calls for next week because they have earnings in roughly 7 days. So that means BABA reports earnings next week. So I'm looking at that. I think like if I give you show you the daily chart, I could see 96 to be the next level without any resistance. And that's just how, like, if you guys, let me just clear all of this. And this is kind of how you study trends. Every single time we've touched this level, let's say last 3 times, the minimum it did was 95. Then second time it did 122. The third time it did 104. So if I'm already up 250% on the 0 days. Now I'm looking to get probably, you can go June, you can go July. You don't have to go next week, but China is one name that or one index that you don't want to take your eyes off. What we've seen Apple do, what we've seen Amazon do, what we've seen Meta do, I can see China doing the same thing. So keep an eye on China. This is a very big news.
So do you remember how everyone was saying that China stocks and stay away from them because it's dangerous because of what's going on with the economy and overall macro level with China? So we talked about this before because what is it? It was like a couple months ago, about 4 months ago or something like that. You and I had spoken, but I got into TSM. I took profit, I made profit. I remember you like, don't do it. But I got into it because I was confident enough that I knew it was going to go up, and it did go up. And then I sold out of it, then it tanked. So you're saying now you believe that China stocks are a little bit safer now to get into?
No. This is just a trade. It's a plain trade for me. Take profits, move. So basically, give you an example. You bought 85 calls for BABA. They made you money. You take profit, get next week 90. You made money, profit 100. That's it. You're managing your risk. I don't trust this market. My biggest idols in the market have openly said that they think this is not a good market to invest in, and they're sitting in cash. The biggest idol I've had, like, these guys have been trading for the last 50, 60 years, big time hedge fund managers. The biggest one, you can go listen to Ray Dalio, Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett's probably the only one that's invested. I don't think he has to worry about at all the amount of dividend this person makes on just his dividend stocks. Like, I don't think anyone comes close to him. People that actually trade with like big money, they're all sitting on cash in terms of investing. So that's like, I would just trade this ticker. That's it. So I think we get 105. If we're lucky, we can get 120. The third one I have is, the name is Nanox. Okay. Let me see. Where is my, I guess it got deleted, but so this is Goldman Sachs 13F. It shows that they took a position in it today. I believe Johnson & Johnson also declared that they took a position on this today. If I showed you the chart, it's going to give you a headache. I traded the stock when this was 70. Okay. This went all the way. It's the daily chart. It went all the way to 531. This was on April 28th. Okay. So about 13 days ago, this was 593. Today it closed at 20. Okay. Closed at 20. And I bought calls on this today. So I'm pretty late to this move, but there's something called the gamma squeeze. Let me teach you another thing. Anytime you look at a stock that's getting squeezed, go check where the options go highest still in terms of strike price. So if you go look at Nanox, 25 is the highest the options go. Now they can add it later like they did on GME and AMC when the squeeze happened. But until they add it, what's telling you is once this thing breaks 25, it will go parabolic. Anyone that's short on this name will get squeezed and this thing can go crazy. So it's a high speculation trade. What they do is they make, I think Mark will speak better, but my idea is, actually you tell us what.
Man. Like the minute, so before we went live, he was telling me about this trade and we pulled it up. I was like, no, because literally back in 2020, I saw this stock and I even texted or a DM, because I didn't have Mark's number at the time. I think I DM'd Mark even. And I was like, hey man, take a look at this. And it was a speculative play, of course, but remember at that time, anything was going up, right? And it's an X-ray. It's basically supposed to replace the current X-ray machines that you see now, which are really archaic, outdated. It costs a lot. They're bulky. They're big. It's just the whole thing. So they were supposed to be this disruptive technology where their system costs a lot less than the regular ones. It's quicker, more efficient, and those are the two main reasons. And it was smaller, like a lot smaller, right? So any hospital could basically purchase a bunch of them for the price of like one actual current X-ray machine. The problem is that within the X-ray machine business, I think there's only one actual competitor within there, or the one person who actually owns majority of market share. And I believe it was Philips. Don't correct me wrong. This is like years ago. But anyways, I bought about 50 shares of this and I was accumulating it. I don't remember what the price was. I feel like it was in the 20s at that time. And it just kept having earnings and it was just bad. And it started selling off and then the market happened. I mean, the whole market started dipping. And I exited out of it for a small loss, but I never looked back. Every once in a while, like I think a couple months ago, I maybe looked at it again. I was like, oh, yeah, it's really low. It's at $5. I did the right call until today when Mo pulls it up. And it just kind of shows you sometimes, like if you believe in a company and you have strong conviction and you think there is a potential chance for it to run up in the future, that's the power of holding. Unless, of course, if you still bought at 70, you're screwed. It's going to take you forever. But imagine had you bought in the, $15, $10 range, you just held it because you believed it or you found it. You're like, at $5, that's a pretty good price. Why not buy 100 shares? That's $500, and look at where it's at now. When you went to the year to date, wasn't it 124% return or something like that? Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like the returns that it got within such a short period of time. And yeah, I wish I would have held, but I'm a flaker. I'll dip out of stuff real quick.
All right, that's it for me. I think Tesla, China, and Nanox. That's all I'm watching tomorrow and for next week.
Yep. All right. Awesome. Mo, thank you so much. Everyone, thank you for tuning in again. This was Money Market Truth. We see you next week, Thursday. So make sure you tune in. And again, you could follow Mo. Where can they follow you, Mo?
OTB Clubhouse on Instagram and OTB Shark Mo on Twitter.
Yep. And you could follow me on Twitter at UnculturedXE or on Instagram, Uncultured Currency, no underscore, no dashes, none of that stuff. There's a lot of people making fake accounts on mine. I also have a new Instagram. It's Half Breed Observer. And then my new YouTube channel Half Breed Observer as well. Check it out, subscribe. I really appreciate it. So until next time, y'all, peace out and have a wonderful weekend and be safe out there in this trading world and parenting world.
That's Hunter.